Now let us see how we can use data structures for our game. So behind the scenes, I've created a new file called as game save Zortan 2, and this is the file. And I've also pasted a couple of comments right over here. So this time what is happening is the war is just getting more intensified. This time the army of Thanos is also arriving. And since it's going to be a very intense fight, our program will automatically choose superhero and the supervillain, and our Avengers have exactly 3 chances to defeat Thanos. Now this time, since we have already seen data structures, we are going to create a nice data structure for our characters. But first let me go to my old file inside my folder number 03, and let us copy a couple of things from here. So let me copy from here till my last message. Let me go back, let me collapse my sidebar, and let me paste it right over here. So this is our current file. Now let's get started. This time we are going to define a nice structure for our characters. You have seen that our character has an attack power and Thanos had life. But this time our supervillains are also going to attack our superheroes. So all of the characters will have a property of life as well. So let us see how we can do all of these things. Let me create a constant and let me call it as Iron Man. And the most ideal data structure would be a dictionary. Now since with dictionary we can have the key and value pairs, it makes much more sense to use a dictionary right over here. The first key would be for the name of the character. So in this case the name is Iron Man. The next key could be for the attack power. So I can say my attack power. The value is of the type of an integer, and the attack power of Iron Man is 250. The last key and value pair would be for the life. So you can say I want to have a key for my life. Let's give him a life of say 1000. Now let us see how we can define the types for this one. Now obviously Iron Man is a dictionary. Now if you see the structure of our dictionary, all of the keys are strings, but for the values sometimes we have a string and sometimes we have an integer. So let us see how we can define the types over here. Since all of the types, the keys are going to be string, so we can say the key is of the type of a string, and the value we can say it's either going to be a string or it is going to be an integer. So this is how you define the types for our Iron Man. Now since this is going to be a constant, we can wrap all of these things inside final. So let me do that. Let me put my brackets and let me say final. But what happens is typing all of these things again and again becomes so boring. So what we can do is we can use a small trick, and that trick is called as in typing alias. So what I can do is let me just cut out all of these things, and here let me create a new variable called as character, and I can define the type right over here. So what I'm doing on line number 20 is I'm defining a new variable called as character, and I'm assigning the type to it. So what I can do on line number 22 is I can simply say that Iron Man is a constant of the type of character. So this is going to save us a lot of typing. Let me put up some comments over here. Now let us go down and let's create some more superheroes. So let me just paste it right over here. So what I have done is I have created 3 more superheroes. One is Black Widow, Spider-Man and Hulk, and I have also assigned values to each of our superhero. Let me put a comment right over here. So this is for our superheroes. Similarly, let us also do for our supervillains. So let me put a comment right over here. So I can say that let us define a supervillain called as Thanos. The type would be final, and we can say character right over here. And let's create our dictionary. So we can say the name is Thanos, the attack power is 1500, and life is 1500. Similarly, let me create some other supervillains as well. So I've created a couple of more supervillains. One is Red Skull and the last one is Proxima. Now since we have a structure for our character, we don't need all of these things. So let me take it out. The next thing is, let us create a list of all of our superheroes and all of our supervillains. So let me put up a comment and let us create a list for our superheroes. And we can say this is going to be a list. So I can put my square brackets. The first is our Iron Man. Next is Black Widow. Next is Spider-Man. And last is the Hulk. Now let us see how we can define the typing for this one. So superheroes is a list and the type is of the character. Let us go down and let us create one more for our supervillains as well. So I can say that my villains is again going to be a list of my character, and let us create a list right over here. The first is our Thanos, then is for the Red Skull, and last is for Proxima. Let us go down and let me put up a comment right over here that choices and attack numbers, all of this are our helper variables. Let me take this out and let me take this out as well. That's not required. Now let us go down and let us see how we can implement the actual attack. The last time we had used a while loop. This time I want to show you a for loop, and I also wanted to show you a new keyword. That keyword is called as range. So first let me type and then I will try and explain what's happening. So I can create a for loop saying that for attack in my range of 3. Now let me try to explain what's happening. If you remember, we have a constraint that Avengers can attack only 3 times, and that's what I'm doing right over here. Let me open up my IPython shell and let me try to explain over there. So range is an inbuilt keyword inside Python. So we are typing as for my number in my range of 3, I simply want to print out my number. Let's see what kind of output we are getting. So we get the output of 0, 1 and 2. And after we get 2, our for loop is going to stop. So that means our loop ran for 3 times. This was the first, this was the second, and this was the third time. So this is where I'm trying to implement our constraint of maximum 3 attacks. So here our for loop will run for exactly 3 times and then it will exit. Let's see what we can do next. Now since this is a very intense fight, our program has to choose a superhero and a supervillain randomly. So let's see how we can do that. First let me put up a comment, and here again I want to show you one more function which is built into Python, and that is called as random integers. So what's going to happen is, for each iteration of our for loop, we want to choose a superhero and a supervillain. And remember, our superheroes and supervillains are lists, and lists have indexes, right? So for Iron Man, the index number would be 0. For Black Widow, the index number would be 1. Spider-Man would be index number 2, and Hulk would be index number 3. So what we are going to do is, we are just going to generate a random index number, and we are going to take that superhero out of our list of superheroes, and similarly for our villains as well. But before we can generate a random integer, first we need to import that functionality. So here I can say from my package of random, I want to import something which is called as random int. Let us go down and let us see how to use this. Let me go to my IPython shell and let me give you a small demo right over here. Here I can say from random, I want to import my random integer, and let us try and see the output of random int, and let us pass the values of 0 to 10. So this time we get an 8. Let us try running it one more time. This time we have a 3. This time we have a 7. So you see that we can randomly generate different numbers. So let's see how to use this inside our program. So here I can say that for each iteration of the for loop, I want to generate a random integer, and my starting index would be 3 and my last index would be 3. Now let's see why I'm writing 3 over here. The first time we want to generate a random integer for our hero. So let me create a variable called as hero index and assign the value right over here. Now let's see what's happening. If you see our list of superheroes, we have 4 elements. That means the length is 4, but the index number is 3. That is why I'm writing 3 right over here. Let us generate a random integer for our villain as well. So let me create a variable called as villain index, and I can use the same function, random integer. I want to start at 0 and at the max I want to have 2. That's because the length of villains is 3. Now let's see what we can do next. So what we are doing on line number 54 and 55 is we are just generating a random integer number. The next thing is we can use that integer number to get a superhero from our list. So let's see how to do that. So let me put up a comment saying that we have a couple of more helper variables, and I can say that I want to get my current superhero from my list of superheroes, and the index number is the randomly generated number which we have stored in the variable of hero index. So that means on line number 54 we are just generating an index number, and on line number 57 we are using that index number to get a superhero from our list of superheroes. Let us do the same thing for our villain as well. So here I can say that my current villain would be from my list of villains from the index of my villain index. Let us try to print out the values and see what's happening. So here I can say I want to print out my current superhero, and I want to print out my current supervillain. Let us run this file. So here is the output. For the first iteration we have Iron Man and Proxima. For the second iteration we have Black Widow and Red Skull. For the third iteration we have Iron Man and Thanos. So you see, for each time we have a different pair who is going to attack each other, and that's what we want. So let us go back to our program. Let us display a nice message right over here. So let us say I want to print using my formatted string. The first thing I want to display is my attack numbers. I can say my attack, and let us also display the names of our superhero and our supervillain who are going to fight. So I can say inside my curly brackets that my superhero, and let us also get the name. Now remember that current superhero is a dictionary, and we can get the values by using our key and value syntax. So I can say that I want to get the value of my key of name, and then we can say that is going to fight with. Here we can display the name of our supervillain. So I can say my current villain, and I want to retrieve the value from my key of name. Let me save it. Let us take out this line, it's not required now, and let me try and run this file. So this time we have an output. For the first attack we have Black Widow who is going to fight with Red Skull. The next time we have Black Widow again, and she is going to fight with Thanos. The last time Spider-Man is going to fight with Thanos. What we can do right over here is, instead of displaying 0, we can start from 1. So let me go back, and here I can say attack plus of 1. Let me save it and let me try to run the file. So this time we have a much better output. Let us go back. So here, before we can attack, we also need to calculate the total life. So what's happening is, for each iteration of our for loop we have a superhero and we also have a villain. So we need to calculate the life of our superheroes as well as our supervillains. For that we would need 2 more variables. So let me go right over here and create 2 new variables right over here. So the first one would be for our hero life, and initially give it a value of 0. The next one is for our villain life. Again, let us set it to a value of 0. Now we don't require this variables because remember we are using the function of range, so we can simply take them out. It's not required. let me take it up, let me save my file, and let us go down right over here. Let me put up a comment saying that first we need to add the life for each iteration. So I can say for my life, and for each iteration what I want to do is, this is my life of hero, and I want to add the life of my current hero to my hero life for each iteration. So I can say my hero life plus my current hero, and from my current hero I want to get the value of his life. Let us do the same thing for the life of villains as well. So I can say my villain life is equal to my villain life plus my current villain, and I want to get the value for life. Now what we can do is, we can also use our shorthand syntax. That means we can take this out, and here we can say plus equal to. So this means the exact same thing. Let me do it for the villain life as well. So let me take it out, plus equal to. Now you see that we have an error right over here, but for now just ignore this error. All of these errors will go away when we implement these characters by using classes. Now let's see how to implement the actual attack. So let me put up a comment. Now what is going to happen is, our villain is going to attack the hero. So what we need to do is, we need to minus the attacking power of the villain from the life of the hero. So let us do that right over here. So I can say that my hero life would be my hero life, and minus I want to have the attacking power of my villain. So I can say my current villain, I want to get the attack power. We can use our shorthand syntax right over here as well. So here I can take this out and I can say minus equal to. Let us do the same thing for the villain life as well. So here I can say my villain life minus equal to the current superhero, and I want to get the attacking power of my superhero. Now let's see what to do next. So this attack is going to happen for 3 times, and after the attack is done, we need to see if we are winning or we are losing. So once we are out of the for loop, let us print a nice separating line. So let me put up a comment and let us print a nice separating line. So I can say equal to multiplied by 70. So what this is going to do is, it is simply going to repeat the string of equal to 70 times. Next, let me take it a little up and let me put up a comment. So this time we want to check if we are winning or if we are losing, and the logic for this is very simple. If the life of the heroes is greater than or equal to the life of the villains, that means the Avengers have won. So let us do that right over here. So we can say if the hero life is greater than or equal to the villain life, then we simply want to print our win message. Else that means we have lost. So let us print out the lost message. That's it. Let me save my file and let me try running this. Amazing, we have a nice output. So here you can see that we attacked 3 times. The first time Spider-Man attacked Proxima, the second time again Spider-Man attacked Red Skull, and the third time Black Widow attacked Red Skull. But unfortunately Thanos killed Avengers and he has captured Zortan. Let us try playing one more time. So let me play one more time. Okay, so this time we have saved. It's so amazing.